Hello.
Hello, guys.
Hi, everyone.
Hey folks, sorry for being late. I was just updating the agenda. Let me share. So we had apologies from Sonko. He wasn't going to make it. Not sure about Aurelian. Sorry. We've got enough from an AC point of view to go ahead, even if the wider community attendance is a little bit low recently. Hey, Aurelian, thanks for joining.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Yeah, getting there, thanks. How about yourself?
Good. Just a bit early, you know.
Cool. Okay, I guess we can start with the agenda, and if others join, they can catch up. So yeah, we didn't have a meeting last week. We didn't have. We only had 3 people join, so we cancelled it. So a lot of this is dragged forward. So may or may not remember. Yeah, so we had. I had an action to make the Cocoa non-TE and the ARM Kubernetes tests and the shell check required, version required, which I did. Zongo had an action to switch over Git, to create an issue to switch over GitHub. I've not seen it, so I'll carry forward at the moment. I had an issue for raising the conversation about Dependabot and minimum toolchain versions. I did start this in a PR and we had some conversation about it. I'm not quite sure where we got to, so we might need to go back to that. We also had, I had the action to enable the build checks for the updated build check names, make them re-required. So I had the PR for that, which I merged 7 minutes ago. So I need to update GitHub to match from that. So I think that's all of the actions that I recall dragging forward. Okay. So any questions or comments on the actions? Okay, cool. There's a topic around toolchain bumping. We have an issue from a while ago about policies, which kind of links to some of the discussions we've had about MSRV, Go version, dependent bumps, etc. I figured maybe that's a good topic to discuss at VPTG. So I've put it on that. I mean, we can talk about it a little bit at the moment. People would want to in the short term, and I kind of proposed it last week, and apologies, I've been ill, so I haven't followed up on it yet. But given that Go 122 is no longer a stable release, I figured if we bumped to Go 123 post the 315 release, then that would make sense. And then that means some of the challenges around dependabot bumping are removed because I guess due to Golang 122 no longer being stable, CVEs are only being fixed in modules that require, or some CVEs are fixed in modules that require 123. So like the XNet issue is a good example of that one. So yeah, if we go up to I guess 123.7 or whatever the latest 123 branch is at the moment, then that will mean some of these dependable ones we can merge without issues. So yeah, I raised it on Slack last week, and didn't have any pushback, but I didn't know if people had had a chance to see it. I know from downstream point of view, Dan Mihai suggested that it will be helpful for Azure, in fact, and help with the CVEs. So I guess, Greg, you unmuted.
Yeah, so we have a bit of a problem with that. Do you hear me?
Yes, I do, yeah.
Okay. So these CVs you shared, they were affecting basically all those stuff we have, including, for example, Cloud API adapter. So we found a way to address we found a builder with Golang 123 to build these container images that we use downstream. Then we have the problem with the RPM, where we ship the Kata runtime. And we have no clear solution for that yet, but we're working on it, and we will try to push for a bump somewhere, because as we were discussing the other day, 1.22 is no more stable on the official Golang site, so there are no reasons for us to stick to that. So there's an action on downstream Red Hat to find a solution for that. Since we had a solution for the container images, I think we will find something similar for the RPM.
Yep.
So my take would be that we should bump and not wait because of downstream. And we'll do what's necessary downstream to cope with that.
Thanks, Greg. Yeah, I did mention it. Probably a week ago, discussion with Jens. We happened to be chatting about some of the stuff, and he seems to be of the opinion that, and I think he discussed with potentially you and Beraldo, he seems to be of the opinion that we should kind of do the right thing for upstream, and then downstream, do the right thing within reason, ensuring that we're on supported versions, as in the right thing, not let's go as fast as we possibly could, and then downstream can
exactly.
can tolerate that. Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah.
So, guys, just a quick question, actually, and apologies for the noise. Does Go release LTS versions? Is it something that's true or not?
It doesn't seem to. It seems their policy seems to be that they have two stable major versions concurrently at all time, and they release every 6 months. So that means effectively the reason 122 was dropped was because I think in February 124 came out.
Yeah, and that was my original suggestion. Maybe what if we move to 124? so that we won't have the issue in 6 months again in a year.
Well,
So yeah,
I understand that there are implications. I'm not sure about the downstream implications, but the upstream implications, maybe we can take it on and have a go on that. Pun intended.
Yeah.
I mean, we can give it a try. I was under the impression that they had an LTS, so, and I thought that 124.1 was an LTS. But we can take it on. We can give it a try, see what breaks, and then maybe Greg, you think that there will be a lot of issues downstream with that?
well, I'm afraid that bumping to 1.24 might have more risks. It might be difficult on the downstream side, and well, usually bumping go has consequences. And I would be afraid that if we bump to 1.24, then we cannot go back.
Yeah.
So yeah, bumping just one stable version at a time would be like an intermediate solution. But I can ask downstream as well.
Regardless, we can give it a try. I mean, it's as simple as doing a dummy PR and give it a go. See where we're at, and we can take it from there.
Yeah, I think we should yeah, have that discussion. Yeah, the VPTG in, I guess, a week and a half now. Yeah, I think for the sake of downstream, it's probably a case of better to bump one version every 6 months and stay on the older of the stable rather than bumping every year, just because we will need to bump minor versions for security fixes along the way anyway. So I don't know if we necessarily buy a lot, but yeah, it's definitely a discussion worth having. Any more thoughts on that? I don't know, Aurelian, if you, from a Microsoft downstream point of view, if you've got an opinion.
Yeah, I know 123 was fine with us. 124, I'm not exactly sure. I have to go and double check.
Cool. Thanks. That'd be good data point.
Mhm.
Okay. Any final thoughts before we move to the next agenda item? Sorry, I should have put my name against these. The next suggestion is about the required jobs process. So sorry, I'll get some context. We have a kind of guidelines for transitioning between required and non-required state. So basically applying to get your job as required. At the moment, and the way it used to work or has been working is just the required list is governed by might not be logged on, so I might not be able to show you. In the branch, there's a list of jobs here, and you kind of, when you remove things from it, you delete them, and when you add them, you obviously add them. So you can see the last ones I added. As we talked about in the actions was shell check required, the Cocoa non-TE, the ARM tests, and the SMP job. That's a way of doing it, and it's the way we've been doing it, but there's not necessarily much transparency. It tends to have been, at best, someone, sometimes me, mostly me, I'm probably the guilty party most of the time, puts a post on Slack and the CI channel and says, oh, this job seems to be unreliable or it's not failing, should remove it from required, and we get some response and we action it, or somebody who's representing the jobs comes back and says, oh, can we make these required? They seem to be stable again. And so we kind of have a and ah, and a few people give some comments, and at a certain point we go, okay, that's fine, let's do it. So with the new excuse me, with the new changes that Lukasz made, which we haven't properly adopted, but it's something I would like to see us move forward with. So maybe we should talk about this at the BTG as well. We have this list of required tests, and it's mapped into kind of different sections. So we've got 3 different sets of criteria. We've got tests, so tend to be like E2E tests, build, which is can you build them, and then static checks, which is the build and static checks. So we have kind of enumerated in here the required jobs check. So what I've been doing recently is for example, yeah, and we can see an example in the history, like when I added the ARM tests as Fabiano required, I created a commit in a PR. I think this one ended up having 2 different ones. It had the non-TE tests in it and the ARM64 tests in it, and then rather than us, it keeps the required tests.yaml up to date, which is used by the gatekeeper to check whether things should be working. And also it means we've got a little bit of traceability. So in making the update to here, we can say at least a few people have approved it and they've had a chance to see. So like Choi's and Viner are other maintainers on this, and Choi's said that that's fine, and Viner's also said it's fine. So we've kind of got representation from the AC and representation from people doing it that we have a PR to track basically, and it's not just me going in and saying, oh, you're required now, you're not required, etc., which is obviously hopefully has people feel has not been abused, but could potentially be if we go, oh, well, we want to get a release out and something's not working. Oh, I don't care. I'm just going to overwrite it and smash it in. So we had a conversation in Slack. I think Fabiano made a request about something, and I said, oh, should we create a required test YAML for better transparency for this? And kind of said, yes, that made sense. So I didn't know if we wanted to formally make this part of the process. So in the documentation for this, sorry, we would say the process to make a job required means you create the PR, which updates required tests.yaml, and it's reviewed and merged. And so we document that expectations. There is this kind of a potential caveat that obviously the positive is we get transparency. The negative is you have to go through a PR review cycle. So if it's something is broken and we want to remove it from being required to unblock the pipeline, then going via a PR process might not be the best approach, especially if it's kind of a temporary marking is not required while the investigation gets done, like we had that a little while ago where Choi updated the S390X runners and basically said, oh, they're going to be experimental for a couple of days because I've bumped the runners, don't want them to block anything, so can we mark it non-required? So that becomes slightly more challenging if we have to create a PR cycle from that. So yeah, if we switch to use required_tests.yaml formally, and that's our only way of doing it, then we will hit this anyway later. So sorry, I've done quite a lot of talking. Hope does it make sense, the suggestion, and any thoughts on whether this would be a positive or negative approach to take?
I guess you're never really gonna know if it's temporary until after the fact, right? In hindsight. So I think I'm fine with the PR process either way. I only had one question. So if we enable or disable those required tests through the YAMLs,
Mhm.
we still have to do that in the UI as well, right?
So just that's a really, really good point. For clarity, let me find something as an example. So at the moment, the required tests are absolutely done through the GitHub UI. So that's what gives us these required checks. The suggestion with the gatekeeper process is the gatekeeper has its own version of what is
Yeah.
required or not. So
Mhm.
once we are happy that this is reliable and this is the kind of single source, we would remove all of these checks
Yeah.
from GitHub and just make gatekeeper required, and then it would handle them for us.
Yeah.
At the moment, it is a case of kind of having to do it in both places, which is why the gatekeeper has got out of sync and out of date. So part of the reason I'm proposing it and I've been doing it is to try and keep it in sync and see what it will feel like. But it is kind of double effort at the moment.
Yeah. Okay, so your hope is to align the gatekeeper and the UI, and then after some time, we just have the gatekeeper.
Yeah. Yeah,
And so,
exactly. So
are we confident that the gatekeeper, that's its only role is to track those required jobs status? I keep forgetting.
basically, yes.
Mm,
So it decides what jobs are run
mhm.
and it's responsible for checking that they've passed. So that's the main reason behind what Lukash did was there's a kind of an okay to test and a skip piece of it, so that if you just make a doc change, actually the doc PR I don't think has got merged. Let me just double check. Uh, yeah, I've had a PR outstanding for a long time on this to make it, but in theory, once this has gone in, if you make a change to the MD files, it will only trigger static tests to go forward. So you won't have to run all of the other tests. They'll be skipped. So it kind of has a dual role of both checking that the expected tests are run, but it also shouldn't run tests which aren't necessary. So if you make a doc change only, then we don't need to run the full AKS Kubernetes test suite, for instance, because it's not going to be impacted by them. And that's where it's a bit more powerful than the required tests because it can be circumstantial. So rather than if I just have that doc change, then at the moment you would, if you wanted to have not override, then you would still have to run every single test because they'd all be required. Whereas with the gatekeeper, if it's a doc only change, then it's not required. It won't require all the tests. I don't know if that helped.
Yeah, I see. So they're conditionally required. I see.
Yes, yeah.
Um, yeah, and the status checks are, yeah, those are the commit message checks and that kind of stuff, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Although actually, I
Yeah.
think the commit checks I think that might be independent even. I think there's
Still, why is this PR not merged yet?
Because I've been asking Viner to review it for about 8 or 9 weeks.
Mhm.
He's not the only PR that I've been asking Viner to review for a long time. And I think he's been very busy with downstream stuff because he keeps on saying, "Oh yeah, I'll look at it today. I'll look at it today," and never has got
Mhm.
around to it. So
Did you try the magic word volunteer?
I didn't.
Mhm.
Sometimes it
Probably where I'm
helps.
wrong. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
I'm a little bit
Uh,
surprised that it's not that yeah there's not any merge conflicts, but the branch is probably a little bit out of date. If anyone wants to look at it and check, then that would be very welcome because I think Vina's on vacation for a couple of weeks now.
yeah. I'll have a look then.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I
Nice.
got the main sign off, which was from Lukash, but he doesn't have a green tick, unfortunately. But he's the one that kind of wrote all of this, so I got that review back last year. But yeah, I don't know if many people look at the gatekeeper at the moment. So
Mhm.
one of the things that I'm trying to do is get it into a better spot because I try and look at it. I'm not always great at it, but if we can get to a point that it is more reliable, then that means we can be a bit closer to potentially disabling some of the GitHub way of managing it and having, like Arenas said, that conditional required tests. And it should mean that we can cut down uh, some of the CI jobs that we have to run on tests that it doesn't make any sense. And like maybe I do it more than other people, but we have changes like if there's a workflow only change, then at the moment we can run all of the tests with OK to test, but it's not actually picked up if it's on the pull request target. So this makes a change, for instance, which says if you're making a workflow only, sorry, the required tests have if you're making a workflow only change, then they aren't needed. We don't need to run the full test because it's not very useful. So there is some caveats with that we might want to update. Like some of the static checks are actually just on can run because they're not using pull request target. So that's why I say
Yeah.
there is some improvements that could be made to Gatekeeper, definitely. But if we can start using it more, then we're more likely to spot those problems and fix them up.
Yeah, and also not all the workflows use the pull request target.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah, exactly. So we might want to make that or make an issue for it. And I don't know if Lukash uh, has got scope because it might be that we could search inside the workflows for the trigger or something like that, or otherwise we could potentially list them out. A little bit messy, but we could do that.
what's the what would you say would be the minimum amount of work that we would need to do on the gatekeeper to make it required today? Because I'm feeling that we should do that sooner rather than later, because right now the main problem is that we don't really know how stable it is, right? How much we could rely
Mhm.
on it because it's not required, right? And so we don't really check it.
So I think it's generally pretty good because I do check it. One of the things which is maybe slightly controversial that I think we should consider changing, I'll jump and show you, is at the moment one of the things it checks for is it requires the OK to test label to be on, but
Mm-hmm.
the problem is the OK to test label triggers a whole load of other jobs to run. So on PRs like a workflow only PR, which doesn't impact other things, it quite often will fail, and that's because we haven't added the OK to test label. So I think the OK to test label is probably only really relevant for the test jobs, like the
Mm-hmm.
E2E tests anyway. So I
Mm-hmm.
think the build checks, at least the AMD ones, aren't gated. Static checks, some of them are. The self-hosted ones are gated, so we might want to have a separate categorization of it. But yeah, that's something which we potentially want to look at, is OK to test, because we don't want to always be forced to run OK to test, or it doesn't buy us anything on the from the conditional point of view at the moment.
I see. Makes sense.
But yeah, it is a balance of going. We don't want to get in the way. Well, from my perspective, it's a balance. We don't want to get in the way of other jobs by making it required. But if you don't make it required, then we probably, like you say, we'll just ignore it and we won't see what the problems are. So I guess it could be just something that we try and pay more attention to. But yeah, that's potentially something we can have a wider discussion about the gatekeeper in the PTG sessions.
Yeah, I agree.
So I guess from a process point of view, do people think that making required tests in effectively, I guess it's infrastructure as code rather than just GitHub config, is a useful change for transparency, or does it get in the way? And in the short term, we shouldn't update that. So I don't mind if the answer is let's wait until Gatekeeper is ready and then switch this model, then that's absolutely fine. It was just a suggestion of something I've been trying to do to make the Gatekeeper closer to being ready.
Greg, I see we unmuted at the same time, but go ahead.
Oh, no, didn't want to speak. Go ahead.
Oh. I was just gonna say, yeah, I think this is good, Steve. I would just, yeah, as we said, I would have us try to fix the gatekeeper, I guess, first, make it required for a bit, and then see how that works.
Yep. Cool. And Anastasios said he's happy as a step in the right direction. Yeah, this isn't particularly binding or enforced at the moment anyway. It's just a process documentation, so that, because for example of this was the SMP job, they kind of just I think it was Addy just messaged me, or maybe in the wider Slack channel, and said, can you make SMP required now? And I went, oh, can you raise a PR for this so it keeps it updated, and it means that people, the wider community, has a chance to look at this? And then he tagged all of you guys in this as well, so we got a few people to say, look, we're happy. So that's kind of the model that I see it going forward, is when we need, particularly when there's new jobs being required for the first time, that we have a bit more of this kind of traceability and the chance for someone in the community to say, yes, we're happy, or no, and the AC at least get a notification. Whether or not everyone's got a chance to look at it is a different question. But yeah, so I would just document this as the process that we do and update the CI README. So it sounds like there's no objections to the moment. So I'll take an action item. Documentation. Does that sound fair? Okay.
Yeah.
And I think we'll move from the Steve show to the LDQ show now, with a few of the next items.
I mean, mostly just quick reminders. So I went ahead and booked the time slots that we used the last time, and I also threw them into the Coco channel on the CNCF Slack. to see if they have a preference to have another joint session. And just wanted to remind people to add agenda items so we can schedule some of the topics so people can plan accordingly. So that's
Yeah,
the
I've
PTG
thrown a
one.
few things in here, but I'm sure there's other suggestions, and people want to talk about stuff more than just what I want to talk about. So please add updates. Anyone else?
Yeah, I added 4.0. I don't know if it's still in scope for this year. If it is, it might be something to dig into.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a good checkpoint to have anyway, and decide where we're at.
Okay, other than that, the PTG should be, let's say, business as usual. So this really was just a reminder. Unless anyone has any questions or comments to the PTG. The next item that I added is opening for a newsletter. I think our next one is going out on Monday or Tuesday next week, so early next week. I don't know if there's anything from this quarter that you all would want people to know other than the minor release being out and the community participating in the PTG soon, kind of things. I don't know if there's anything in the releases that is worthwhile to mention as it makes a difference to users or something along those lines, or something else that's procedural that you all feel would be good information to people for people to have. Sorry, Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, so there's nothing immediately comes to mind, but I'm very good at forgetting things at the moment, which is why obviously we had this discussion about trying to keep things up to date. So the last release, I did kind of make the request on the release note saying, has anyone got any highlights so we can pull out? I don't think we got any suggestions. And looking through the list from the last release, which was the one that I ran, that there was minor changes and quite a few CI updates and stuff like that, which is obviously all good stuff, but I don't think there's anything particularly that we needed to pull out from that one. I can't remember the previous releases, to be honest. So
That's okay. Thanks for the scan. I'll get creative. Okay. I might try to find a way to get these kind of questions reminders in maybe more frequently, and then just collecting items to serve as a little bit of a project update. The next quarter will be more interesting after the PTG and the AC elections. There will be some more, let's say, newsworthy items. Okay. Architecture Committee election reminder that kicks off on April 7th. I haven't added election officials yet. Alex volunteered. He helped out with elections before, and if there's anyone else who's not running in the current one and would be available to serve as one more election official, that would be great. If not, I think the two of us will be able to manage it.
Hey, Sarah, I did see your message. I can help out. I just won't be too available next week if that works for you.
Yeah, that's okay. We can. I think we know what needs to be done, so we can reconvene. I can also try to ping you maybe tomorrow. I'll figure it out. I'm in Asia Pacific this week. I'll be home next week. But we can sync up in terms of what items are left to do.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good. Yeah, you can put me down
Thank you.
for sure.
Okay, so I have the action item to carry the PR to add election officials. Thank you for adding the notes. And the last one that I added to the list, I don't know if y'all saw it already. I think I put it in Slack too, in addition to the mailing list. We are having the next Open Infra Summit in Europe in this year, and it will be in Paris, France, and it is October, what is 17th till 19th. I think it is a weekend, or it extends into the weekend. That's how the venue had availability. But since we have a good chunk of the community in Europe, I'm hoping that this might be an opportunity to get some folks from the community together. It would be very nice. And if anyone has aspirations to become a track chair for the conference, I believe that there's still time to sign up for that as well. The event is still forming, so I believe the registration is not up yet, but the date and location are now finalized. I don't know if
Yes.
anyone has any questions or comments.
I guess, yeah, it'd be good to see what the tracks are when they're up and running. And when's the CFP, or is that still also in the process?
It's in the process. I think it will open shortly. I don't know the exact date if we set one for that already. We are working with the community members and organizers in the region to put together the event. So it is a very community-driven event, and we are helping out to make sure that everything is in place as it should
Cool.
be. So I will send out some more reminders once the CFP is open. And yeah, if anyone would like to become a track chair and have some influence over content, or rather help the community put together the content, you can reach out to my colleague Helena at openinfra.org, or you can also ping me and I can put you in touch with Helena.
Thank you.
That was it from my side.
Can I ask something about the track structure? So would that be similar to the Linux Foundation stuff, or to former summits from the foundation? About that.
I had a hard time hearing you. I don't know if it's my headset or
No, it's me. I'm sorry. Apologies. I have a lot of noise.
Oh, okay.
So the question is whether the track structure would be similar to the Linux Foundation or the summits or former summits.
I think it will likely be similar to former summits, but I haven't seen the list of tracks yet. So I cannot fully confirm that, but that would be my expectation.
And for a track chair, is it expected that they will travel to the venue, or it's just for forming the CFP or contributing to the CFP and doing reviews and stuff?
It is the CFP and reviews. To my knowledge, well, I don't know the process for this particular event. In past events, when someone signed up as a track chair, that means that they are helping out with the preparation steps. And once the CFP closes, reviewing the submissions, and then figuring out with their group. We usually have small groups per track, I think, and then they select the talks that make it to the schedule at the end. So it's more duties during preparation as opposed to during the event. I don't know if it will change for this particular upcoming event. It could be. I'm happy to check in with Helena about that if that is something that would be problematic for you. But if you're otherwise interested, I can double check this.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested. It's just that I have a lot of a lot of traveling this year, so I'm not sure if I'm going to make it, and a lot of conflicting meetings. So that's why
I
I'm asking
understand.
if it's a deal breaker. Let me get back to you through Slack, and we can
Okay,
take it from
sounds
there.
good.
Thank you.
I'm happy that you're interested. So thank you, and happy to sort everything out, everything else out on Slack.
Cool. Makes sense. That's just any other questions or comments on Open Infra Summit? Okay, cool. And yeah, as ever, we got some proposals and topics for review discussion, but I have put these in the VPTG planning session. It seems like we never necessarily get time to have a good review or discussion of those, so they feel like good candidates to discuss later. Okay, with that said, I think we've gone through all the topics. Are there any other things people want to raise or discuss on today's call?
Yes, I have one small item. Apologies for not putting it in the agenda. Regarding that ARM that Jetson installation that a person mentioned in Slack, should we, maybe it would be useful if we put it as a PTG topic to discuss what's going on with the various heterogeneous ARM supports. I mean, there are a lot of devices. Would we be interested in supporting specific devices or the generic architecture? Because ARM is a bit of a different animal than x86. So regarding the specific issue that the person mentioned, I try to debug that. So on our side, we have a couple of warnings. We tried to debug that, but unfortunately, we lost remote access due to the kernel upgrade. So we're going to do that later this week. I would like to ask if anyone has such devices. I would suspect Zvongo might have. Fabiano might also have something, I suspect. Just to test before the weekend. Anyone with an Orin machine?
Yeah, to my knowledge, yeah. You hit Fabiano. Zonko obviously got one. He's on vacation the next 2 days. Fabiano certainly used to have access to a kind of local ARM machine for development. I guess there's also, I think Fabiano and Kevin, etc., have got access to the Jade systems, which
No, it's not. It's not that. The Jade system works fine.
okay.
It's the Jetson. It's the Jetson thing that has a custom kernel and the custom display that has the issue.
Okay.
So it's a specific to the specific device. And that's why I
Okay.
mentioned that maybe we should discuss that in the VPTG about supporting, let's say, the Jetson series. And another thing I wanted to ask, more like a question, because I couldn't find the relevant files. At some point, we stopped supporting the Snap distribution, or
Mhm.
the package manager. Is it something intentional, or there was no one to maintain that?
Yeah, I think there was no one to maintain it. I think we had a conversation. It might have even been like 2023, going back.
2022 is more.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Snap support will be dropped. So it was. You might be able to find something in this meeting, or the issue might give us something. Yeah.
Okay, so the reason that I'm asking is that I recently took a look at the micro test thing, and it's a shame that we don't have Kata supported for that, because it's easier to add, to enable an add-on, as they call it, the terminology, using a Snap thing rather than putting it directly through the system packaging. So
Mhm.
maybe it would be useful to, I mean, if maintaining a Snap is not that much of a burden, maybe it would be something that I would be interested in.
Yeah. I can't remember full details, but I think it was basically it broke the build, and so the release was like over a year old, which basically, when we had the discussion, made us figure that people were probably not using it. So, but yeah, there is definitely something around the installation that I've put something around Kata Manager on the VP PTG as a discussion point, because we've had a few people coming in and reporting problems with Kata Manager and or wanting to do updates, and I've sort of said to them it's not really maintained at the moment, and they've gone, oh well, it's the automatic installation thing that you point on your guide. And we've sort of said, if you're doing Kubernetes, it's Kata deploy, but we don't necessarily have a great story. I think we've also had some questions from people about Ubuntu, if there's any Ubuntu repos and stuff like that. So I think reviewing this and deciding on a strategy makes sense.
Yeah, sounds
And
like a VPTG topic. Yeah.
maybe
Agree.
I'll put it out of lean and mean and have a let me copy the docs. So yeah, that's something we can. We can have a discussion. I won't try and preempt that too much. Cool. So yeah, I think on the ARM devices, I guess reach out to Fabiano is probably a good idea. I guess maybe I don't know if Kevin or there's like Nick Colony and from the Linaro and ARM team might have some specific devices. I don't know if they would be useful. Apologies, I think I missed the Slack discussion. Slack
Yeah,
thread with you.
I missed it as well. It's just that Fabiano tagged me, so it was easier.
Yeah. Okay, so Fabiano is obviously aware of it. So okay, was it the one from 24th of March? Okay. So it looks like Kevin, Fabiano are in that discussion. If it's the one from Monday asking about
Yeah.
3.0 support for ARM.
And this is the thing that triggered the issue that I mentioned about maybe it would be useful to support to issue a list of supported devices, or at least of devices that we have tested with specific configuration. This Jetson installation is a really hectic thing because of the process to recompile the kernel, and they haven't included, let's say, the SOP. They haven't included the thin provisioning for the dev mapper thing. So there is a whole hectic process to recompile the kernel. So it's kind of hard to make sure. And these are devices that are really beefy. So you have 16 cores and 32 gigs of RAM or 64 gigs of RAM. So they have a GPU, of course. So they're really nice devices to include in an edge cluster. So it's the former releases had issues with the device tree and couldn't run Firecracker on it. So NVIDIA makes sure that we have a lot of issues with the devices. So if we could say we can support that and we have tried that and blah blah blah, it might be nice.
Yeah, I think that definitely makes sense to have a bit more transparency. And I found the issue at last, so I've put a thing on. But yeah, it sounds like, unfortunately, all the suggestions I have are on the thread, apart from Sonko would probably be the best one, and he's on vacation. So yeah, maybe he will see it and be able to help. Okay. Any other last thoughts before we end the call today?
Just a quick one. I just checked with Helena, and the track chairs for the Open Infra Summit, it's only the preparation steps. So track chairs are expected to help with the CFP and like the talk selection, and it will all be online meetings, meeting with other track chairs. So there's no on-site responsibility, is what I'm trying to say in a really long way.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for the update on that one. Yeah, just the last comment. I will probably miss next week because I will be at KubeCon EU. We have this Etherpad, so if anyone else is planning to be there, then or knows of any particularly interesting talks, then please add them in here and add yourself, and we can try and sync up and meet face to face next week. Will be awesome. Okay. Otherwise, I think we can leave it. And thanks folks for joining, and good discussions.
So much, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you guys.
Bye bye.
Bye.
See you.